So in this video, I'm going to do an introduction to the four major roles in the banking simulation, and so I'll start with the role that really acts first before the others, and that's the industrial firm. So here I have, this is just an Excel sheet that I'm keeping track for myself for my activities in the sim, and so just starting here, we can imagine that these don't quite exist yet, right? So if we think about just the start of the sim, that would be just these, right? So we start with just some currency and nothing going on. And we know, right, our role as the industrial firm is to hire workers and to do one of those four tasks that you can do. And so in this case, this represents just 4 days. It's just 4 days of labor. And so there would be more to do if we were farther along. Well, let's just go ahead and see how those 4 days happen. So the first thing right away that the industrial firm did is it took out a 30 rupee loan from the central bank. So the central bank of India in my sim did a loan, and the central bank sets the interest rate terms for that loan. I don't have that listed here, but that would be negotiated between the central bank and the industrial firm. The reason this firm needs a loan is because it wants to hire workers to increase raw material production, which isn't going to generate any money, right? There's no revenue from increasing production, and so in effect they're going into debt to fund a production increase that will hopefully then turn around later. So we have some loan, and again, that may not have been necessary depending on how much you're paying your consumers, but in our case, our consumers make about 5 rupees every time they go to work, and so we have we're rapidly accruing some money spent. So the first day that the firm hired workers, right, so they paid their 5 rupees and increased raw materials by 1. So this is just something I just did on my own. It doesn't require anybody else to help me other than I had to pay the consumers to work. So they pay them work, I get +1 more material production, and that's a permanent increase that just sits in effect in my inventory. It's a technology improvement. And I actually elected to do that 3 times. So I paid my workers 3 times, increased raw material production 3 times. So now whenever I hire workers to produce raw materials, I'm going to get 6 rather than 3, which you can then see is what I did on the 4th day. So on the 4th day, I hired my workers, and they produced wood. So you can see that's where this 4th day comes up. So for the 4th day of production, my workers produced wood, and that's the wood numbered 1 to 6. So wood numbered 1 to 6 was produced by that production action. Now you see that's got a strike through on it. There's a reason for that, because 3 of the wood were sold on the market. So if we go look at the log on the message board, it showed there was a request to purchase 3 wood for $3 Australian. And so that's what I'm showing here. So I sold 3 wood to another player. That means I only have wood 4 to 6 still in my inventory. The first 3 I sold off. And then I have $3 Australian. And you'll see I have here listed bolded, underlined, question mark, because I don't have confirmation yet from the other party what were the unique IDs for the AOD I received for selling the wood. So I still need to find that out. But I know that they're coming because we've completed the transaction. So just have to do a little more legwork there. So that's what things look like when you're starting out with the industrial firm. So if you weren't going to get a loan, you might need to, right? So if you didn't talk to your central bank and didn't get a loan, you would need to probably produce some raw materials and sell them to fund this investment, or you would just need to convince your consumers to take smaller wages, and that's dependent on what they're willing to do and what's available. So there's lots of different ways this could go, but in general, the idea is basically as the industrial firm, you act first, right? Without you making raw materials or finished goods, there's nothing to trade. There's no reason to trade any currencies. So that's basically the role of the industrial firm, and you can see basically just in these first 4 days, I've accumulated some foreign currency here in my company. Now, technically, I have to be careful so that 3 wood is actually not right. This is sold to the import-export firm, so this AUD isn't actually. It's not really in this inventory. So I'll get to that in a second. But the raw materials were sold for cash, but that transaction still needs to complete. So that's the industrial firm. So let's think about the consumer. So right now, the consumer, doesn't have a loan for 30. They have a loan for 20 because, right, in my industrial firm, I have, I have a 30 rupee loan, but I still have 10 rupee left on loan, right? I haven't spent all of that money yet. I just spent the 20 from the loan to my consumer. So they have an IOU from me, from the industrial firm, for 20, and that's all they have right now. So for the consumers, they've just negotiated their wage rate and have been working. Eventually, right, they need to get in contact with the import-export firm to purchase finished goods to consume. So the role, so as a consumer, you're in a bit of a sit and wait until your industrial firm pays you for your labor, or you see goods available that the import-export firm is trying to sell. So as a consumer, your best strategy is probably to get in touch with the import-export firm, your local import-export firm, probably via email, and try to get them participating in what you're trying to accomplish. Let them know what you're hoping to buy, and that way they can go out on the market and get it for you. Because ultimately that's how you score points, is to take those wages and trade them to the import-export firm for whatever finished goods they were able to acquire for you. So this import-export firm, right? So we need to adjust this a little bit. So this import-export firm has these rupees, but the import-export firm actually participated in a transaction. So this wood here, right? This wood needed to be purchased, right? So the import-export firm had to purchase the wood and so rather than having AUD here, right? So this is going to go here because the import-export firm is going to get it. We'll get to that in a second, but so they are going to commit some rupees. So they're going to pay 6 rupees to buy 3 wood. So we'll say actually they only have a figure of 6. That means they have 27 to 30. Right? 27 to 30 because they have given up 6, and the 6 rupees they gave up went to the industrial firm. So the industrial firm does, in fact, lose the wood, but they get rupees 21 to 26. And so they have some rupees from the sale of that wood to the import-export firm. So they don't have the AOD, and that's fine because the import-export firm does. So they gave up some rupees, but they were able to get. Well, first they bought the wood, right? So we would put wood 3 here, but then that wood was then sold. So I'm going to put a strike through, right? So they bought the wood and then went ahead and sold it to another player in the sim, and earned 3 Australian dollars. So it's again kind of their role. They're transacting with the local industrial firm and then going out on the global market and acquiring currency, and hopefully, right, these 3 Australian dollars will then be useful to buy the finished product that is produced. So this wood would turn into, I think it's finished boards is the result, and so. Those finished boards could be purchased by the import-export firm and then sold to the consumer. So these Australian dollars are probably going to disappear. Finished boards come back, and the consumer would then be willing to pay for the finished boards with their larger supply of rupees, and perhaps even pay for the finished boards with the loan. Right, this loan that was originally issued to the industrial firm that's gone over to the consumer, and then could now go to the import-export. So, again, that's their role to facilitate these transactions. Lastly, the central bank. So the central bank has been doing in my team has been doing some activity. So. The first thing they did was to issue 90 additional rupees. So there's a bunch of rupees, the idea here would be to have a lot of rupees available for other countries to use for trade. So right away we have a transaction. So I sold 10 rupees, right? That's rupees number 31 to 40. I sold 10 rupees for krona number 41. So it was a 10 for 1 trade. I purchased a krona. And that left me with rupees 49 to 120, which is not true anymore. I'm going to strike that out because then I purchased 3 yen and 1 yen in 2 separate transactions. So these are the rupees that are left, right? So there are 2 different Japanese players that both now have rupees that they purchased from the central bank, and so the central bank now has yen, and those are just currency reserves that the central bank has. It's in effect an investment in the Japanese economy, and also that served a purpose in that the more rupees are circulating in the sim, the easier it is for other countries to transact with the import-export firm in India. So again, for each role, it comes down to doing a few simple things. You're in general shopping. Right. In the industrial firm, you have to. That's, I guess, the one non-shopping activity in the entire game is choosing this production, whatever it happens to be, and then as a central bank choosing to issue currency. So that's in brief, maybe an introduction to how you might operate your individual roles. So thank you for your time, and we'll see you in the sim.